Street time.
Okay.
Maybe I should stay here. Hey, somebody read my mind. It is so good to see you all here on our second of our Daring to be Sacred. It's an interesting word, sacred. I guess it's type Eugene. I'm sorry, daring to be Eugene. Oh my gosh! Sorry to the rest of the world that doesn't feel as unique and appreciated as Eugene, but a lovely member that has moved away and has just surprised us by stepping in. Okay, let's get it together, Pauline. At least this way. Never here. Rightly so, we would pair the word sacred with whatever religious filter we have, right? And not that we are trying to be controversial here. No. But for us to bend the idea of what sacred is and think about holistic. So if we think about the word holistic, we think of the whole, but not with the W, and you think about that. Another dear friend's just walked in. Who's there? I was like, oh, there. And everybody look at her. Hi, Amy. Don't you want to show up late? Park Street Christian Church. Friendly, but shaming. Anyway. Celebrating. That's good. Thanks. But I want us to think about that. That our guests haven't been here for a while or here for the first time. And it can make you go, it depends on what baggage you carry. Or maybe a whole thing of balloons when you think about the word sacred. So back to this holy thing and holistic and being holistic. When I began here in 2015 at Park Street, my prayers for this church wasn't for a mega church growth. My prayer, and it continues to be, is for holistic growth. That we find a sense of who we are together, not cookie cutter, right? That you can be diverse and unified. And this is something that I believe prayers have taken us on this journey to be. And we want to be able to welcome others who haven't been here regularly, who still have a lot of baggage and heavy weight when it comes to the idea of anything that they deem as religious. And that word sacred is one of those things. So I want us to wrap our brain around what it means to you in that sense of the sacred. It doesn't have to be a church pew. Surprise. And it doesn't have to be a building with a cross behind it. Surprise. Maybe for some. Or those that sing hymns, or those that really get into feeling praise music. It doesn't, we all have our own filter, so let us let that down as we hear the stories of people who are daring to do something they feel called to do. That isn't necessarily easy. So I welcome you for that. I do want to take a moment to consider our community right now and ask that we, as I read what I picked out to be, it's a lovely poem by John Riddell, for us to consider the families in our community that have suffered loss. Not just in the past week, but in the past year, who are dealing with a loss of their wholeness. So one of those families that is on a journey, you are well aware of, and due to their respect of coming around their loss, they've asked that we not mention them by name today. But I know that for those of you who know our community, know who I'm talking about. I'm going to try to hold it together and be whole as I read this very sweet, seemingly fitting poem for our Sacred Daring series written by John Riddell. He's a progressive believer and poet. As he says in his intro to this poem, this prayer, Strawberry Angel, that this was written for both of our hearts, adding, please be kind to yourself today. Here's a story about you that I heard from a gossiping angel who was snacking on a strawberry in a tree in my backyard this past summer. The angel said that you used to soar above the world. They said that you were once surrounded by so many miracles that nobody could tell where the wonder began and you ended. You were a swirl of soaring grace. But one day, A long while ago, a comet came roaring down and the sky came apart all around you. And after being so wounded, you became grounded to gravity and found yourself wounded and walking in a foreign land. Eventually, you were captured by those who told you that flying was now too dangerous. They said that you would enjoy the safety of confinement. So they put you in a cage and clipped your wings for your own sake. The angel went on to say that for years you stared through the iron bars and fantasized about taking flight once more, to feel the great wind in your face, to be untethered to earthly things, to be able to flirt with heaven again. I heard that you dreamed every night about being able to reclaim your freedom. But your freedom never came, the angel told me. And over time, you fell into a deep despair. I'll never leave this place, you repeated to yourself over and over. The angel said that in your most desperate hour, you prayed for God to let your heart stop beating, so you could become a ghost in order to feel yourself become tangled up in a hot summer breeze, even if just for a second. I heard that you prayed to Spirit to allow your suffering to end, even if that meant that you would be swept up by oblivion. I began to weep as I listened to your story because it sounded so familiar. The angel reported somberly that your prayers were never answered, and you resigned yourself to being stuck in the cage forever. Then the angel said that during one winter night, not too long ago, a moonbeam winked at you through the gaps of your cage bars, and how overtook you were by the soft glow, and how you sang a psalm about how lovely it all was. The moon heard you and changed its hue from white to lavender, and suddenly you remembered something you were told when you first hatched. Your voice can change the world. And that there is no prison that could hold your song. The angel said that even though they clipped your wings and put you in a cage, you let your voice grow feathers, and it slips out through the cage every night to explore the world. Every time you open your mouth and sing, you escape the prison that you thought you would never leave. I heard that you learned that you didn't need your wings to be close to heaven. You just needed to find your voice. And as the angel hugged me goodbye, she told me that once you started singing, you never stopped. And that now you are surrounded by so many miracles that nobody can tell where the wonder begins and you end. You are such a swirl of soaring grace. Oh, my love. As the strawberry scented shouted, how I couldn't wait to hear your song. Because maybe it will help me.
During this time of sacred sharing, we will breathe in. And I have to share a disclaimer. When Donna leads us in this, I have the hardest time remembering whether I'm supposed to breathe in peace or breathe in love and then breathe out. And I always get them confused. And so I'm disclaimer there. As I was thinking about it, times that we go through, any of us, usually times of loss or times when we struggle, that even though I breathe in peace and I breathe out love, sometimes I find I need to breathe in some love before I can breathe out some peace. And so that I just share that as an invitation to you, that whatever you are feeling this morning, join me in not worrying so much about the breathing, but just that we are breathing peace and love in whichever way it flows, and it will be enough. So, those of you who have been with me, I'll provide each of the three parts of this, and then together. And again, just as you are called, you choose the part that you wish to sing. Maybe even make a name from this. So we start first with breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And our second part. When I in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Start again with the breathing meditation. We'll layer each part, and you join as you feel led. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Share a reading. Hear now today's sacred readings. First, author and priest John O'Donohue. There is an unseen life that dreams us. It knows our true direction and destiny. We can trust God acts within every moment and creates the world with each breath. God speaks from the center of the universe in the silence beyond all thought. Mightier than a crash of a thunderstorm, mightier than the roar of a sea, the voice of the creators silently speaks in the depths of the listening heart.
Good morning, Park Street. Good morning. Oh, that was good. You guys have been practicing. It is good to be here. I am so excited for Erin to be joining us today. I met Erin first technically through a friend of a friend, and then we ended up working together because it's Charlottesville, and when does that not happen? Erin is a great, amazing songwriter, performer, and colleague of mine. She runs, are you director of pre-K? Children's programming, yes. I know her title. I was testing her. She is an inspiring educator working with young minds of the time. And then I'm going to share with you a portion of her biography, which you can find printed under her headshot. So today's featured guest is Erin McLeod. Is that correct? Okay, because you can correct me. That's okay here. Erin is a Charlottesville-based singer-songwriter who writes at the crossroads of folk and musical theater. As a native New Yorker, her roots are grounded in musical theater, but she has branched out to create her own contemporary sound. In 2019, she graduated from Berklee College of Music in Valencia, Spain, with an MM in contemporary performance. She is currently recording her debut project locally and cannot wait to share it. So we are excited to have Erin with us. She will be performing 2 of her own original songs this morning. And then you'll hear from us a little later on. Yes.
Right after this. Yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah.
The interviews to come right after this and then Q&A later.
Okay. The interviews come right after this and then the Q&A later. Perfect. Amazing. Stupendous. That's what's going to happen.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me today. This is really wonderful. This first song I wrote is called House on Fire, and I was reading and I read something, this interview or book, I forgot which, but it said, when you're born into a burning house, you think the world's on fire. And I thought that was really interesting, and I feel that. I feel like we've all felt that at some point, so this is House on Fire. I am my father's daughter. He needs me like water. There's a drought that's gonna kill him. I have nothing left to give him. I am my mother's child. I have her mother's smile. She says I'm not gonna leave him. I'm the sea that stands between them.
Should the light be on, David?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
It is now on. Thank you. So, as you've now heard, this is Erin. This is the Erin. If you look at your bulletin, meet the Erin. So, Erin, as we heard from your biography, you were born in New York. So, you did not grow up in Charlottesville. So, tell us a bit about New York and growing up there.
Yeah, so I come from a family that's super musical and theatrical. My mom's an acting teacher, and she studied with Stella Adler for a really long time. And and then my dad's an actor, and I grew up on tour, so he's done a lot of Broadway shows, and so the first couple years we were touring on the national tour of Evita and then the national tour of Jekyll and Hyde, and we came back and settled in New York, where he did other shows like Wonderful Town and Dance of the Vampires and other shows, so we were there for a long time. And then, yeah, I came here.
So, how did you make it to Charlottesville?
Well, like all singer, songwriter girlies, I followed a boy. All the way here. We were dating in college, and he went on to study physics at UVA. So I moved here. We're not together anymore, but I loved it. He actually just moved back to New York. He finished his PhD, but I'm still here.
Yay!
Yeah.
Great. And so I wonder if a better question might be, what made you stay in Charlottesville?
Yeah. Well, I came here like 6 months before I went to Berkeley, and then I left for the year in Valencia. I came back and it was immediately COVID. So I was just a full-time nanny for like all through COVID, and then I started working at the front porch, and I just really loved it. So I feel like I stayed because I loved my job and I love performing here, and I started writing music and recording it and really focused on that. Like after Berkeley, my goal was to really like not pursue musical theater like how I previously thought I would, and to pursue songwriting. And I just felt like I had made a community here of songwriters that I really loved. Yeah. And ironically, like my roommate that I lived with in Valencia grew up in Charlottesville. So we met each other here like through songwriting, and we went to Valencia together and then came back. Yeah. And she's in Nashville now, but I like Charlottesville.
That I continue to get surprised with the way Charlottesville will find people in your world, in your sphere. So when you were young, Aaron, a wee lad running around New York, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I definitely wanted to be on Broadway. I think I like saw that, so much, and like spent so much time backstage. My sister is a ballet dancer and like grew up in doing like New York City ballet, like School of American Ballet. So she was like in the Nutcracker like every winter and everything. So I feel like I just saw it all the time, like and I loved it. I still love it. I just think I found something in songwriting that I like didn't find in musical theater. Maybe it's like I could create my own story. I really liked that. Like you didn't have to like be a character. I mean, some of my writing is characteristic, like not fully like me, but it's also very personal. So I like that I could like create my own worlds. And in a musical theater, you're part of someone else's world.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. So I feel like we kind of already answered this. Do you have any other hobbies outside of Broadway, outside of music, outside of what if you're not doing music or creating worlds and stories? What are you doing?
Yeah, I love hiking. I think that's also a big reason I stayed in Charlottesville, because I just fell in love with like all the Shenandoah National Park. So I spent a lot of time outside, I would say. Yeah, and growing up, like my family's not a campy family, but I love camping.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when did you start practicing music? I feel like it's probably pretty early.
Yeah, I would say I was always singing, like ever since I was very little. But my parents got me like a hot pink Taylor Swift guitar when I was like 12, And my dad had played a little guitar and like taught me like the basic chords, taught me how to read a chord chart, and had this book of Beatles songs. So I just would flip through it and like learn some Beatles songs, and I kept writing like through. That was like maybe when I was middle school, and then I kept writing it in high school. We had a songwriters club. our English teacher, like one of the English teachers really loved songwriting, and so did his son, and his son was like in our high school at the time. And so they did Songwriters Club, which was really cool. And yeah, so I joined that and I kept writing, and then I think I had like a rebellious moment in college. I said, I'm gonna go to college for marine biology, and I'm not gonna do any music anymore. And yeah, I got through like one semester of college and I was like, this sucks. I'm gonna major in music again. Yeah.
Wow, okay. So pretty constantly practicing from a young age.
Yeah, I was in like a marching band. I did flute in like school, but yeah, they were like, you're not that great a flute player, so they made me do color guard. The flags. They kicked me out of flute. They made me do flags.
How many in this room, by a show of hands, did your music teacher try to teach you to play the flute or the clarinet or something like that? That was yeah. You're not alone.
Yeah.
That's maybe this isn't the right path for you.
Yeah,
That's
it wasn't.
Yeah, that's enough.
I was a singer, I think. Actually, I wanted to do saxophone really bad.
Oh.
I really wanted to play saxophone or like oboe. Like I wanted to play a reed instrument, and I couldn't make a sound out of it. So they said, no, you can't do that.
Sound is important in music, I think.
Yes.
Sorry. To be fair to your teachers. So, I heard you saying about creating stories and creating almost like mini worlds of your own when you're writing music. What else has music or writing music brought to your life?
So much. I think like people for sure. Like the people that I feel like I've been able to write with, or I don't know. I feel like writing does something. Like when you write your own song and you sing it in front of people, it just like people just be telling you stuff, you know? they're like you, I also, me too, you know, like, and I feel like they have the freedom and openness to be vulnerable with you because you were vulnerable in this way, and so I feel like it's made all of my like relationships really like substantial, like there's no small talk, you know, you just get right to like the heart of something, and you have access to that all the time because you like train that muscle in a way. Yeah, so I guess definitely relationships, it allows you to be like vulnerable in your personal relationships, and also like it feels good. It feels so good to put something into words. Like when you're like, I have had this feeling my whole life, but I don't know how to put it in this strict rhyming syllabic melodic pattern, you know? So I feel like when you can get that too, it's like I have so much clarity about what I'm trying to say in this specific thing. Like often I'll write if I don't know how to say it, like I'll write in prose for a long time and then like circle like that's the thing, like that's the heart of it, like all this was just like the crust, you know? And so yeah, so I would say clarity and access to your vulnerability.
Yeah, that's huge. Does it feel, and I'm using this word not as someone who's clinically trained, does it feel therapeutic in a way?
Yeah, for sure. Like oftentimes I feel like when I'm writing I'll cry, you know, or just be like so like, but that's how you know I feel like you got it. You're like, okay, well that was it. Like whatever moved you, you know, that was the important thing to say.
Yeah, that must be a rewarding and cathartic experience.
For sure.
That's awesome. So are there places other than Valencia and Charlottesville that music has taken you?
Well, that's a good question. Well, definitely, like I'd say New York. I like often travel back still to like see my family and see running shows and everything. But I've never been really to Nashville. I've been to LA, but not in a musical way. I would say really like these are the three main places. It'd be like Virginia, New York, and Valencia.
And I'm trying to do this interview in a way that just I know a lot of things about Erin. So I'm asking her questions that are silly for me because I'm like I know these answers. But tell the good people of Park Street, where around Charlottesville has music taken you? Like, what venues are you in, and where are you doing this?
I perform at wineries and breweries pretty regularly. I just did a show at the Southern recently, like a writer's round. And I perform at the front porch we do like sometimes a writer's round called Neon Angels, if you've ever heard about that. Yeah, I'll perform at like Star Hill, Crozet, or Eastwood, sometimes at Potter's. I run this open mic at Potter's once a month. It's for singer-songwriters. It's the third Thursday of every month. And I host it, and so we have a pretty good crew that comes out regularly, which is awesome. Yeah.
I would love for you to say a little bit more about the Potter. So I've been to this said open mic night, and I resonate deeply when you were saying your vulnerability. It makes other people feel accessible. I mean, talk about you. I literally feel like people walk onto that stage and they just take their heart out and they're like, "Here it is. I'm offering it to you. Please listen to it."
Yeah.
And it's such a space of hospitality and community and caring, and it's just complete strangers at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But like, I feel like, have you noticed the community kind of forming around
For
that?
sure. Like, I really wasn't expecting it when Peyton is our executive director at the front porch. She asked me if I wanted to host it, and I was really excited. Like, of course I want to host that. And I didn't think anyone would come, really. I don't know. I just was like, well, it's the first one. But 25 people came the first time, and it's really beautiful. Like, I'm biased, obviously, but I've been to a lot of open mics in Charlottesville, and this one to me feels the most like intimate. Like, people are really quiet, they're really intentionally listening. Whereas like some other open mics, it feels a little more like bar vibes or like band vibes, where you can't really hear the words. Like, I always am like searching for the words. Like, I want to hear the lyrics of your song. And I feel like you can really like hear every word that people are saying. And I feel like if you spend hours and days like crafting something, like, I want to hear what you're saying, you know, it matters to you. But yeah, the same, like, a lot of people have come repetitively. Like, we've been doing it since January now, so for about like 6 or 7 months. And yeah, we have a really solid crew. And Potter's is really beautiful because it was a cathedral that they renovated to be a cider house. So it's really beautiful. People get married in there all the time. Like, you can see why. It's like the old stone kind of, and it's up on a hill, like off 29. So I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Don't be shocked if you see some of us.
Yeah, please
showing
come.
up.
I would love that.
So as kind of Colleen mentioned at the beginning of service, talking about the word sacred is a huge word. Like, forget $10. It's worth a lot of money, that word. And I think it's one of those words that can kind of encapsulate a lot of different meanings. And so when we talk about a calling in the church language, for someone like me, calling means I feel called to lead people through the specific religion that I'm a part of, right? And I feel called to teach music. I feel so much joy and inspiration watching a mini maestro learning how to tap a steady beat, like that. That feeling, that sense of certainty that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm wondering if you have any kind of a feeling like that when you're writing songs and when you're even performing them, maybe.
Yeah, like, I would definitely say writing is the thing that brings me the most joy in life. Like, and I feel like no matter how tired I am or like anything else that's happening, like, that is something that gives me a lot of energy. So definitely, I don't know, I feel like the things that give you energy and that you keep chasing are the things that you're meant to do, like the things that spark happiness in you, you know? I'd say not always like the act of performing has been a joyful thing for me. Like, I do have a lot of stage fright, and I think because I grew up in this family of performers, there's like a really high expectation for me, or like a high pressure that I put on myself, because like I've seen it, like, you know, like I've seen it done at a really high level, and so I think sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, like, I don't want to disappoint or like go into this and not be good enough, or like not add value to like the people in the room. of it. But definitely like when I'm alone and when I'm writing, that's something that brings me a lot of joy. And I also feel like I'm not always great at being alone. Like I really enjoy being around other people. So to write when I'm alone and like be really very content, just like in that like aloneness. I don't know the word. Definitely makes me feel like it's a calling. Yeah.
No, I agree. There are many things you could be doing in your solitude time that would probably drain you of energy, and it sounds like this is one that, keeps you going. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, that's all we have for our interview portion of this morning.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to invite Laura up before Erin performs another song for us, and there will be Q&A later.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin. What a delight. As well as you guys. We are grateful for the time gifted us today by all gathered in this space, but especially Erin, who will offer one more musical piece after this brief moment of instruction and reflection. In a few moments, we will share time with one another around the welcome tables, a place where we will not only break bread and pen our inquiries, but take a moment or two to chat with your table companions. Towards the end of that, Jenny and I will come around the offering plates to gather not only your gifts, but your questions for Erin. And with that, will you join me in a moment of reflection as we consider Spirit's gift to us and our gift to others. The one who raises the sun each morning and lifts high the moon at night ushers us too through cycles of rising, falling, and rising again. Though we stumble, God lifts us. Though we doubt, God remains. Though we get weary, God revives. Through each of us, God gives. Amen. For these thoughts and sentiments, we are grateful, as we are additionally blessed through gift of a song written by the Waylon Jennings.
Oh, actually, that was probably just a typo on that. I hate to say, but I think we're gifted by a song written by you.
Yes.
And she's like, I don't know that. I hope you know. I hope you know it. Pastor, but we use it's another one of those church words called a canon. And we hear about the canon that's the Hebrew scriptures and the Greek scriptures. That it was like councils that get together. Well, yeah, this one's good. I don't like that one. But pastors do that a lot, and I think songwriters do that a lot. Accountants do that a lot in their own way. That we tend to talk about the same things. I lean into similar scriptures. And it's interesting for this summer series because, my fingerprints are all over it, but it's so beautiful to have the overlay of others' fingerprints telling the story about God's calling to a welcome table of expression. We refer to this as a welcome table in our tradition, especially the disciples of Christ. As an expression, fingerprints over fingerprints, this local Disciples of Christ church is an open and affirming table. It's a place where all are welcome, and sometimes that can be a struggle if you don't have the exact same view of musical preference or political preference or anything, but we say we table that because God is a God of reconciliation and welcome. And so we gather each week in our tradition to partake of these elements, these symbols of this grace and invitation to the table. And what we're doing during this time is extending it with some musical backdrop and musical joy of the voices of our congregation, all ages, which we celebrate. So during this time, you will have, and if you can designate, I think I've asked Addison for this table, but at each table, maybe, let me see. Somebody needs to break the bread at this table. Maybe Alice would like to do that. But find somebody who's going to be your element raiser and taker. So what we're going to do in rehearsal, thank you, Elizabeth. We're doing a beautiful job of instruction and guiding us in that opening. But as I lift the element and talk about the element, whoever is our table host or hostess will do the same thing. So as we do that, and then when we do the next element, like the juice, you can start pouring the juice, or if you're a proactive individual, you might be pouring the juice now. But with that said, I'm going to ask that we stop our pouring and once we get our chalice down until we're going to go to the bread first. And whoever the table host is will just kind of follow my lead. It's okay, proactive Nancy Farish. We love you so much. She keeps me on my toes. Because it really doesn't matter, because we're all individuals. And in our tables, we are even an individual table expression. So I hope that in the spirit of our friend Erin, that the level of vulnerability is available around the table. And I wish it could last for 25 minutes. But it's only going to last for about 6 or 7 because we have schedules that the world demands of us. So with that, we are reminded in our tradition, which is a Christ-following tradition, that his final last Passover, Christ joined his companions around the table, and as we've learned, and I've said over and over, the word companion means breaking bread together. And he took the bread and he raised it. Leslie, he raised it, and then we break it. And God, inspiring the Son, broke the bread and passed it to those around the table and said, remember this bread of life. Remember how your life, how your bluebird is to be expressed, and never feel less than when you do it. Thank you. And then we're just going to move on to the chalice, element number 2, where we raise the chalice or the cup, and we remember what was said. Do this in remembrance of me. Now, let us remember that the me that we're talking about wasn't just that human person sitting at the table, but the lessons and the guidance and the sacrifice, but most importantly, the welcome and grace. And now, companions, enjoy and go in for seconds. God bless you.
Sedentary experience this morning. You did disrupt anything. Fine. Did you go to Paris? Want some more? Would you like some more? We're going to eat it all. Can't just say no. She uses brown rice, white rice, chickpea flour, potato starch, and tapioca starch. Sorry, this is Amy. Heidi. But you all three have the same employer. VA. Where do you go? Amy's an architect. She's a project manager for a lot of stuff that gets built on. What bill are you in? Surprise? Pardon me? You're right. He was Jane's teacher. In Heidi? That's the Ocean Lake Lab project. Yeah. I know
Oh my gosh,
yes, the one on White House.
That was what
As I have said, this is my least favorite moment of this time. It's okay. As I just said, this is my least favorite portion of being the timekeeper. I was telling at my table that having the pink time count cards is really painful. It's not when you're not interested in what someone's saying. I can tell you that. You're going, woo, there they go. We haven't had that experience here. Everybody's been it's been wonderful. And, but at my table, I could hear him and Becca, when they saw me put a card up, go, oh. And it's the same as I feel right now. To break up this fellowship around these tables. It is music, and it's not just because you're a singer-songwriter. It's music. It's a music to my ears. But we do come to this place where we invite Addison and Aaron back up with some questions, and there are a lot of questions. So what I'm hoping is if your question is not selected, and if Aaron doesn't mind for a few moments out in the foyer, you can just ask for those questions. I'll ask. In fact, I can really embarrass her because she's explained that she really is. There she is. She wants to be vulnerable. You just watch out. But what I'm going to do is I'll invite Aaron also to, after worship, to be in the foyer area, and you can just ask for the questions or say, hey, this is my question. Because we do, time marches on. So with that, it's Addison and Aaron.
I did just briefly comb through these, and I think some of them can be combined. So if you don't hear your specific wording, doesn't mean it's not your question. So, some people want to know what borough of NYC did you live in, if you lived in a borough.
Oh, I grew up in White Plains, New York, which is like half an hour above New York. You guys heard what? You guys know White Plains?
We've got some New Yorkers.
Are you serious? Awesome. Yeah, I went to White Plains High School.
Perfect. And then this one, they're in the same genre, but they're not. The same question. So, writer's block and overcoming stage fright.
Wow.
I feel like they belong in the same category, but they're not the same question, obviously.
Yeah. I would say anytime I've ever experienced writer's block, it's because I was just afraid to say what I wanted to say. Like, anytime I couldn't write it, it's because I was not being honest with myself. So if you just gotta get to you gotta cut that crust away. What are you trying to say? Really, use your strong words and then make them nice in your song. Or not. And then, what was it?
Stage
Oh,
fright.
stage fright. Okay. Well, I think actually my mom has helped me a lot with this because she's an acting teacher. Like I just like kind of use her acting technique. Like I always imagine a partner that I'm singing to. I always have like obviously not someone physically in the room, but I always like know who I'm singing to and what I'm saying. And she teaches acting. Like a 30-second overview is like she teaches like for your eyes to kind of move naturally. So it's like whenever you're remembering something, you look up and to the left. That's just what your eyes do naturally. So it's like when you're singing about something in the past, it's like, when I was a little girl, da-da-da-da-da, and you, like that's my partner, and then over here to the right, it's like those are all the things in the future. So it's like, I think I use that to anchor me, like anytime I'm thinking, like talking about the past, future, present. And then she uses like rainbow words, which she calls like anything, all big words, hope, joy, God, love, dreams. Like those are all like kind of in a bigger circle around you. Yeah, so I guess that's what I use. It doesn't like, it's still, I still have stage fright, but that's the thing that like calms me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
having that a plan. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I have a feeling I know who asked these questions. Rapid fire. Where are you recording your album?
I'm recording my album with Tyler Charnas and Garrett Rhodes. They are two producers in the Charlottesville and Crozet area, and they're friends of mine, and they do a really good job. They've been doing it for a long time. Like they did like remixes for a long time, like through Interscope of like Billie Eilish and like Lady Gaga songs. That was their thing, but now they had their own band called New Immunity, and now they're helping me, which I'm very grateful for.
Do you have anybody else playing with you on the album?
No, we're doing it through Logic, so it's me playing guitar and singing, and then sometimes guitar. Sometimes Tyler will do electric guitar, but the rest is like Logic, drums, bass, piano, keys, cello.
Okay. Last big question, and then there will be a short question.
Yes.
Who are your musical inspirations?
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like when I first started like loving songwriting, like in middle school and high school, I listened to Regina Spektor obsessively.
Oh, yeah.
I love Regina Spektor. I love Yeba. She's like a more contemporary artist. I think she's doing something really cool, and she has such a beautiful voice.
YEBBA.
Yes, YEBBA. And also, like, I just grew up on James Taylor and Carole King and the Beatles and the Beach Boys. Like, my parents are a little older. Like, they had us when.
She didn't say older was bad.
Older's not bad. They just had us when they were, like, in their 40s, so, yeah. They gave us the juice. The true juice. Yeah, I listen to like a lot of like old timey like Ella Fitzgerald and Carole King. Like, I love sorry. Oh my gosh.
You can't be mad at her because that's the exact reason you like her music. Okay, so this last one is a short / two-parter. So, do you have a release?
Yes, not a physical date, but I'm releasing my first song at the end of September. We haven't specific, but that's gonna be the first one, and we're doing the photography for it. Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I initially was like working with this one producer, and it just like wasn't working out, so I kind of had to start all the way from scratch. So it's taken like 3 years, but it's almost here. Yeah, it's called Man of the House. I didn't play it today. It has some foul language in it.
Nice.
Yes. I picked my sweet blooper song.
And then for the people that I know, because I'm sure this is what they'll ask you in the foyer or later, what is the best way for people to stay in touch with when you're performing and when things are being released?
Yeah, I have an Instagram that I post all of my shows on. That's like my main thing. I also am working on building a newsletter. So if you want to bring your email down, I can add you to my newsletter. I've just started this. I'm like, that independent artist life. You have to be your own marketer, manager, and everything writer. So I'm a little slow with more of like the marketing stuff, but I'm getting on the newsletter train. So yeah, I can do your newsletter or follow me on Instagram if you have it, or Facebook. I also have a Facebook. And my name on there is Erin Laney McLeod. My middle name's Laney. It's Angel spelled backwards, so that's why you L-A-G-N. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. And then for anybody else who might be technologically distasteful or whatever, just ask me and I'll let you know. Because I want you to go see her as much as you want to go see her sing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Aaron, make sure you don't forget your eggs.
What's that? She'll get hers next week. I was behind. The girls were laying slowly, so those are her out to them. So that's what I gotta do.
We still
That's
have
what
your
it is.
eggs.
She didn't have my eggs. She has a strong hankers for them.
We are going to close with some loving kindness. So please join us in singing this. May I be filled with loving kindness. We'll do it once through, and then may you, and then may we. And then we will go on our way. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be
Thank you, friends. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Addison, for bringing Aaron. And may you be filled with loving kindness, breathing in peace, breathing in love, breathing out peace, breathing out whatever you feel like doing as long. It's in the spirit of welcome, graciousness, and kindness, friendship. Tolerance is not good enough. So please make your way out this way and take your time to do that. I ask anybody that's going to assist in cleaning the tables, you altar basket in the center, and just the glasses and the chalice go in. God bless you. Keep cool, because you really are.